Hey everybody, Doodle here, and I have been hit by the hype bug. Rumors have been pouring in these last couple months for the Switch 2, Nintendo's potential next console. How dev kits have been going out, what price it might be, what games will be on it. With a Nintendo Direct likely around the corner, I want to release from my heart all these things I would love to see from the next Nintendo console. Before we have any concrete info, let's all take a second to dream of what could be. And what better place to start than with the possibilities of what hardware the Switch 2 could feature. As someone who mostly uses the Switch as a TV console, I'm hungry for bigger and better resolution. Sure, 2K resolution would be a nice upgrade in the short term, but if this is meant to be the new system for the next 7 years, then I think we need to dream bigger. I would rather they push further to 4K and really allow this next console to feel like a sizable upgrade, on the TV console side anyway. I know Nintendo isn't huge on giving players options, but I'd love to see a performance mode versus resolution mode, like the PS5 and Xbox. One mode that beefs up the resolution, but is more likely to be geared towards 30 FPS, and then a performance mode, which will have stable 60 FPS, but a lower resolution. Give players a chance to prioritize what they want from their games. And with that system performance, I want to be immediately wowed by the launch titles on the Switch 2. Bigger worlds, more details, more dynamic lighting. I'm all for Nintendo sticking with a more cartoony style for many of their core games, but let's keep pushing those up-close textures. Let's allow for more immersive qualities like dynamic environment elements and far-away perspective. I'm not savvy enough on tech specifically, but I want something that is a good jump in performance. Again, if this is going to be the set console at least until a Pro version, let's start strong. I also think there is room for improvement if they intend to keep a similar setup to the original Switch to really upgrade the general look and feel of the system. I would love a dock that feels a bit more luxurious and sturdy. It has some heft to it. The current design is great and easy to use, but has always felt cheaper and so light on the material side, and the back isn't the nicest for getting wires in and out. Let's get Joycons that feel more ergonomic. Even with my small paws, I find myself getting hand cramps even after brief times of handheld play. I really cannot believe I'm still saying this 7 years later, but dude, we should not be having drift. It is actually so appalling that we've just had to live with Nintendo selling expensive, faulty product. I myself have had multiple pairs go bad, and now I've stuck to a third-party Pro controller. With this system refresh, Nintendo should return to having highly durable electronics. But I'm afraid that the success they've seen with the Switch will convince them that it's not the highest priority. Honestly, outside of that though, I'm not too invested in some brand new gimmick for the Switch 2. 3D, motion controls, 2 screens. For me, these have been things that don't hold up in the long term of a console. For me, that's what has allowed the Switch to truly feel like a return to form, similar to the GameCube or N64, where the games themselves can take center stage and focus on their designs without having to fit into a weird, quirky box. This design has also made it easier than ever for third-party and indie titles to be brought to the Nintendo ecosystem. This generation has seen the biggest gaming library of any Nintendo console, and in large part, it's because so many devs feel comfortable porting their games over. If the Switch 2 is to be a hit, it's going to need to maintain not only its own set of exciting exclusives, but create something that continues this indie catalog momentum. Which takes us over to the software side of things. Nintendo not only simplified things when it came to the hardware concept for the Switch, but they also made its UI and base system menus as basic as ever. As clean as things are, even when the system first came out, many of us were disappointed with the lack of that usual Nintendo charm. No music in the startup interface, nor any ability to change its look outside of a light and dark mode. It took years for us to even get the option to make folders to organize our gaming libraries into. I would love to see a return of themes, especially similar to the 3DS era. Beautiful illustrations, some of which would animate as you scrolled across your icons. In my true dreams, you would get a theme for each game you buy. Maybe we can even get the ability to set screenshots as our background wallpapers. Or if they truly want to stick to the bare bones, let's take the PS5 route and have it transform when you hover over a game, turning it into its own fun visual look complete with music. Of course, this customization isn't critical to a system, but I think it's a really easy way to keep a console feeling fresh, even years into its life. And while we're thinking of 3DS, let's bring back Street Pass. This was a huge highlight for me when I frequently played that handheld, more so than I ever used the actual 3D feature. I was at college at the time, and it was so delightful to take my 3DS to class and see that green light come up. Finding a new person was so cool, and it was even more fun to get someone repeatedly and feel like you were making a mini friendship. Which reminds me of how much I miss personalizing my profile. The icons this generation have been awesome, and I especially love that you can now mix and match characters, backgrounds, and border to make something really unique. Perhaps if they bring back themes, your profile theme could match that as well with its own simple background. During the Switch's era, I've made many more friends who also play the system. It's fun to see everyone's icons and what they're playing, and I'd really love to be able to interact with people more. It'd be so cool to be able to set a favorite game, and have the ability for my friends to comment on whatever I've been playing recently. Perhaps we could have a simple like system where you can upvote your friend's activity. Some of Nintendo's series have begun to dabble on having in-game achievements, so let's have a history of ones you've recently got visible on your profile. Maybe we can have a spot on the core menu to showcase notifications like, oh, Yador beat this game, or, ooh, J-Fall's just finished Chapter 6 of Fire Emblem. Let's be able to pick our favorite achievement of ours and pin it to our profile. It gives folks a chance to either showcase a difficult achievement they're proud of, or even one they find funny or cute. And I think all these features can really come together to help build a sense of community amongst those people who have bought this console. And I'm just gonna slide this in here, but can we also get an accurate log of our playtime for our games? It seems like the Switch likes to go by increments of 5 hours, or even have it say things like, oh, you've started this game recently. Just give me a clean, crispy, accurate number. Now, let's jump over to something I cannot believe Nintendo hasn't fixed yet. It's eShop. More than ever, these console companies want players to buy digital versions of their games directly through them. And yet, dude, the Switch online eShop is such a mess. It's slow to load up, it lags, it has images popping in, and is riddled with questionable shovelware. I think Nintendo can strike a better balance between being too picky about what gets to be on the system, but also maybe blocking out things that are clear ripoffs or even just spam. It's awesome that they've created a digital-only tab, which is generally geared towards more indie titles. So maybe let's beef up the recommendation pages. Say I like Stardew Valley, maybe it could recommend me a page of games that are similar. And with that, I'd love a super simple like or dislike button. Especially for basic indie games, it'd be nice to have something in shop where I can see, hey, 5K people have hearted this game. Honestly, as random as it sounds, a fresh eShop is something I am very excited for with the next system. This has been my first generation to hop over towards having an almost completely digital collection. I've loved being able to easily download so many titles without having physical game boxes taking up space in my apartment. But, of course, I know there are looming downsides to this decision. Will I still be able to access those games on a new system? A big hope for me is that the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible, and even better would be that for the big Nintendo games, they offer upgraded performance. I've loved this feature with the PS5, being able to take older PS4 games and often for free upgrade to a version that runs with a better frame rate and resolution. Especially at the end of the Switch's life here, even Nintendo's own series are pushing the limits of what the system can handle, and would greatly benefit from just a little beef up. By allowing players to not only bring their entire catalog forward, but allow those games to play better than ever, I think it'll act as a huge incentive for people to jump to the next console sooner rather than later. Which, last but not least, has me thinking about Nintendo Online. The program has had its ups and downs this generation, being Nintendo's first outing at having a paid online service. I even remember when it was free when the console was originally released. Ultimately, I don't actually have an issue paying for the service, but I need it to be good. Thankfully, Nintendo has made it cheap this generation, especially if you do the family membership group and split it with a bunch of people. But I would also say I don't think it offers as much as other companies do, and really only towards the end here has the Switch's online service begun to pick up quality, especially for someone like me who just really is never gonna play the SNES or NES games. Let's not reset the retro game collection again, and instead have the Switch 2 continue to build upon what's already here. Let's have this entire program be a smooth transition to the next console. If you're paying for Nintendo Online now, it also works on the Switch 2. And let's put some more energy and momentum into these retro releases. Rather than having one, I don't know, every 6 months, let's aim for something monthly and let's give it a lot of fanfare. A new console is a great time to get people excited about lesser known series, as everyone is just desperate to play literally anything that's available on a fresh system. Each month they could release a new retro title alongside concept art and a look at the game's history. Make it a monthly celebration of old games. If there aren't enough older Nintendo games, especially since it seems they want to hold onto the GameCube for bigger remakes, then maybe instead we could have a monthly indie be featured. They are generally pretty cheap anyway, so I feel like giving it away as a part of this program also encourages indies to make ports for the new Switch, and again, help give what will be an early emptier catalog some early juice. Whew. Yeah, so that's my list, guys. Overall, the Switch has been a fantastic ride and clearly a big upswing for Nintendo as a whole. More than anything, if they nail a solid performance upgrade and kick off with first-party killer exclusives, then I think this theoretical Switch 2 will be off to a strong start. But this is Nintendo we are talking about, so for all we know, the next console will be shaped like a laptop, or feature VR goggles, or have wheels or something. I mean, who even knows? But while we wait, I would love to keep this hype going down in the comments. Big ol' thank you for watching, and may the rest of your day be super chill. Doodle out.